Alright, so welcome back. So for this video, I'm going to read the story for Jack and the Beanstalk for the game itself. So if you didn't watch the unboxing video, you should probably watch the unboxing video before you watch this. Unless you really love stories, then go ahead, by all means, watch this before you watch the unboxing video, because I'm just going to be reading the story for this game. And you know what they say, there's so many variations for a lot of these stories nowadays that something tells me that this story will also be a different variation since it's designed for this game. Okay, so, once upon a time, as all the good stories begin, there was a farm boy named Jack. He lived frugally with his widowed mother in an old, dilapidated building in the English countryside, which was usually so green. Times were hard and the harvests meager. Just like good old Margaret, the farm cow, who, in her prime, made the best milk in the region. But now, Margaret was no longer the young, dashing cow she used to be, and her udder ran dry. The decision was hard to make. Jack's mother decided to sell Marguerite in order to bring a few supplies back to the house. She put her son in charge of bringing the cow to the market and getting a good deal. After arriving in the big city, the two companions set up in a corner of the market. Marguerite was a sorry sight. Jack hoped that nobody would be interested in this bovine friend, and that he could bring her back to her cherished stable. The day was already mostly over, and Jack was getting ready to pack up and go when an old withered man approached him. This strange person offered Jack a so-called equitable exchange. "Your thin beast for a fistful of beans," he said. Jack thought it was one of those jokes people of a certain age sometimes like to tell, but no. The old man kept waiting for the young man's approval. He added, "Your young age makes you blind, dummy. These are magic beans. Stick them in the ground, and you'll be able to climb to the sky." Evidently a bit thick, Jack accepted the offer, to the surprise of Marguerite, who, despite her protesting, lowing, was taken away by the old man, pleased with his trick. The night had donned her moth-eaten rag of stars by the time Jack returned home. His worried mother was waiting for him on the doorstep. Not seeing the cow, she thought they would be able to eat until the end of the month, thanks to the earnings from the sale. Instead, Jack proudly handed her the beans. Stupefied, she threw the green beans out the window and went to bed instead of chastising her son with blows from a frying pan. When dawn broke, Jack's mother went outside to feed the remaining chickens. She was surprised to discover, right outside her door, an immense beanstalk piercing the clouds. Alerted by the sound, Jack jumped from bed and ran to the yard. He discovered his mother there, as well as the enormous beanstalk rising without end. Inspired by the old man's story, Jack attempted to scale the giant green stalk despite the warnings of his beloved mother. Above the clouds, after several hours, Jack reached a path. At the end, he could make out a castle so impressive you could fit a whole country inside. Hardly known for his prudence, Jack knocked loudly on the building's heavy door. A queen-sized woman opened the door and was surprised by the minuscule presence she might have squished in passing. "Well, hello, ma'am. I just climbed all the way up this horrible beanstalk, and I'm dying of hunger. Might you have something to eat for a poor child like me?" Moved by his words, the woman invited him to enter and sat him at the table. However, she told him she was married to a giant who ate nothing but fresh, organic flesh. As soon as she warned Jack, the ground began to tremble. The giant's wife immediately hid Jack in an enormous cupboard. Fee, fi, fo, fum. It smells like fresh flesh in here, said the giant, opening the door violently. His wife reassured him, pretending it was just yesterday's leftovers. The starving giant sat at the table and paid no attention to the young Jack, who was sneaking discreetly toward the door, dragging a small sack behind him full of gold he found in the cupboard. Jack climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could and showed the fruits of his labor to his mother. She wasn't very scrupulous either. But the gold put food on the table for 2 months, at the end of which Jack decided to climb back up to the giant's castle. He arrived at the castle doors and again asked for hospitality. Not recognizing him, the giant's wife invited him to dinner and advised him to eat as fast as possible before her husband returned home. The giant shook the walls as he entered and said, Fee, fi, fo, fum. It smells like fresh flesh in here. But Jack had time to hide in an old pot, home to a goose who laid golden eggs. Jack didn't need anything else, but grabbed the fowl and left the castle on his tiptoes. Back at home with his dear mother, he showed off the magic goose. Intimidated, popped out a beautiful golden egg right into Jack's hands. Thus the farm became the richest and most prosperous in the region. Enticed by his unending greed, Jack decided to make one last trip up in the clouds. But this time his plan was different. If you can believe that what Jack lacked in morals, he gained in wisdom. He waited until the giant and his wife left the castle to enter without being seen. Obviously, the gigantic couple were aware of the theft and had hidden their most treasured items. Jack hardly had the time to rummage around before the two homeowners returned with heavy steps, which alerted Jack to hide behind the kitchen table. Fee, fi, fo, fum. It smells like fresh flesh in here, said the giant. His wife confirmed his statement, since she had prepared his favorite dish, Prince Ragout, on a bed of fresh princess. The giant voraciously gobbled up the meal and asked his wife to get out her magic harp. The giant's wife did so and put the instrument on the table. A strange melody ran out by magic which plunged the giant in a deep after-snack nap. Mrs. Giant, not tolerating her husband's loud snoring, left the room. At the moment, Jack left his hiding place, climbed to the table, and snatched the harp. The music immediately stopped, and the giant awoke. Jack made a break for the door, holding onto the harp for dear life. Furious, the giant fell from his chair and took after the thief. Jack hurled down the beanstalk and reached the farmyard before the giant. His mother, who was waiting for him and privy to the plan, had sharpened her late husband's old axe. She chopped the beanstalk in one stroke, stopping the giant's descent. He climbed back up to his abode, furiously cursing the names of Jack and his mother. Thus Jack and his mother lived rich and dishonest until the day they were betrayed by a soup of vengeful beans. But that's another story. So that's the story and the premise for this game, I guess. So, yes, the giant eats well, people, I guess, and flesh, right? But it doesn't look like the Jack is very good himself, right? Stealing from the giant and obviously betraying the giant's wife as well, because she was kind enough to let him in and, you know, partake of food. And what he does, he goes and he steals her gold, and he steals the golden goose right under her nose. So I guess the wife here is the nicest individual in the story, and obviously these two are not that great of individuals, right? But still, that's the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and I can't say I'm surprised by that fact either, because I've read so many variations of Jack and the Beanstalk anyways. But anyways, thank you guys for listening to this video of the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, or at least for the Tales and Games box here anyways. And I'll see you guys again next time.